Well, this budget's a massive letdown, just like Malcolm Turnbull has turned out to be. It's a budget that makes inequality in Australia worse. We've got huge tax cuts going to corporate Australia. We've got tax cuts going to people on very high incomes. We've got politicians, for goodness sake, people like us who are not delivered just one tax cut, we get two. The budget deficit levy's gone and we get the changes to bracket creep. We don't need it, ordinary Australians do, and they miss out in this budget. The Prime Minister says that he has an economic plan for jobs and for growth. Well, you don't have an economic plan for jobs and for growth if you are silent on the biggest economic challenge facing the nation, and that is making the transition to the clean energy economy. What we've seen is the Prime Minister lock in over $1 billion worth of cuts to one of the engine rooms to help drive that change to the clean energy economy, that is the Australian Renewable Energy Agency. We have the Treasurer saying we can no longer rely on our mineral wealth, those competitive advantages are gone, and yet $110 million to going to mineral exploration in northern Australia and other parts of the country. This is a budget that makes inequality worse and that is silent on the great economic challenge of this generation, that is tackling dangerous global warming and making the transition to a clean energy economy. And Australians right around the country will feel rightly let down by this budget and by the Prime Minister.
Thanks. There's $4 billion less for schools and hospitals just so that above average income earners can get a $6 a week tax cut that won't even buy them a sandwich. There's $6 billion coming out of universities, Medicare, the public service, welfare, but $12 billion going in the form of tax cuts and tax breaks for the very wealthy and for big business. And when the 5% tax cut for the biggest businesses in our country kicks in over the next 10 years, you can forget about there being enough money to fund the schools and hospitals and the welfare state that people in this country deserve and expect. On superannuation, this budget is a massive missed opportunity to rein in the unfair tax breaks in superannuation. On the whole, the government's saving in the order of $3 billion over the next 4 years on superannuation. The Greens have put forward proposals that would have saved $12 billion. The government had the opportunity to rein in the unfair super tax breaks and to start tax reform at the top. Instead, they've allowed those inequities to continue, and that is going to mean very, very wealthy people in this country are going to continue to get unaffordable tax breaks, which means less money available for schools and hospitals.